The Ways Which Meet Life's Needs. Xiefeng. October 23, 2014. Translated by Transin and edited by Kayer. The American psychologist Abraham Maslow believed that human has 6 major needs: physiological, safety, love and belonging, self-esteem, self-actualization, and self-transcendence. To be specific, life needs food, water, air, sex, sleep, safety, resources, health, medical care, assurance of having a job, family affection, friendship, love, self-esteem, social status, confidence, a sense of achievement, morality, skills, creativity, and so on. Meanwhile, Maslow also argued that human needs are hierarchical and that they will be fulfilled at each level, from bottom up. That is to say, fulfilling the physiological needs comes first, then the safety needs, and so on, and the self-transcendence efforts can only be made after self-actualization. For me, Xiefeng, my life needs are as follows: a room with a bed, a desk and a chair, 3 suits of clothes and 2 pairs of shoes, 2 meals with plain tea and simple food each day, being surrounded by like-minded people who share the same resonance of consciousness, being busy every day, having a clean, orderly, and beautiful environment, sharing everything with everyone, doing everything willingly but nothing compulsorily, peace, harmony, warmth, health, realizing my dreams and ideals, understanding life and time and space, and knowing the destination ahead and the realm that life can reach. How does one realize this ideal of needs? Maslow listed them from the bottom up, but I do from the top down. I have found that in Tao, virtue, benevolence, righteousness, courtesy, wisdom, credibility, achievements, sorcery, and magical art. Only when there is Tao, everything else can be met. If we start from the bottom level and first pursue magical art, then one can never reach the realm of Tao because life is too short, and when we have fulfilled all our needs at the lower levels, we would have neither the time nor the energy to pursue Tao. Thus, we have to first clarify life's road ahead and the realm to which life wants to take us. Once this key issue is resolved, the others will readily be. I used to be obsessed with making money. I built my own company, and at one time I had 4 stores, a nightclub, a bar, a fast food restaurant, and also leased a dancing hall, a restaurant, and a barber shop. My annual net income reached hundreds of thousands USD. Later, I miraculously survived a car accident and began to understand things differently. I found that people had unexpected good or bad fortune and that life is vulnerable. If you do not first understand life's value, purpose, and meaning, and the principles and mysteries of life, then no matter how you live, your life will be blind and you can never fulfill your life's needs. I then gave up my businesses and immersed myself into studying the meanings of life, and from there, I developed the theories of first fulfilling the top-level needs and to gradually fulfill the needs of the lower levels in a natural order. Today, I have fulfilled all the levels and have achieved my life's needs, though this would be extremely difficult for even a president or a billionaire to do. Now, what else do I need? I only need one thing: to have fun. I do whatever is fun. The desire to enjoy the finest food, clothing, accommodation and travel, birth, senility, illness and death, fame and wealth, and leaving a lasting reputation are out of my mentality. Everyone who has communicated with me has benefited from me, so I think that becoming a guide to life and life is not only appropriate but is also assumed.
向全球征集新时代人类生活理念
Collecting new era life values from global citizens. Xiefeng. May 20th, 2014. Translated by Tongxin, Songlong, and edited by Kayer. In order to inherit the wisdom of the past saints and sages comprehensively, and to absorb the precious thoughts of today's saints and sages, and to realize the dreams of the talented will be put to good use, and the whole world will be one family. No one would pocket anything found on the ground, and doors are not bolted at night, and everyone is joyful, happy, free, and blessed. Human beings can develop sustainably. The 800 values for new era human beings will begin its 3rd revision. Every citizen on Earth can take part in this activity, regardless of which religion, political party, country, nation, or ethnic background he or she belongs. Anyone interested, please selflessly devote your wisdom to the betterment of the entire human race, because as long as your thoughts are beneficial to the interests of all humanity, we will accept and compile them into the third version of the 800 values for new era human beings. Please note that we are calling for values, not views or beliefs. We are calling for life values, not market values, country values, religious values, values for political parties, etc. Values are the crystallization of wisdom and thoughts, but thoughts and wisdom are not values. The values we need are life principles to follow. Therefore, please condense your wisdom and thoughts into values which can be expressed concisely and succinctly, but with rich content, and use one sentence instead of two sentences if it is already clear enough. Please do not explain your values or present your reasoning with long texts. Please contribute your wisdom and values regarding these 8 aspects. How to achieve a harmonious coexistence among people, society, and nature. How to let everyone on Earth have dignified, joyful, happy, free, and blessed lives. What values, modes, and phenomena in people's lives are ignorant and backward, and with what new ones should they be replaced? What kind of lives should we lead in order to resonate with the laws of nature and of human nature? What kind of belief system, moral system, and value system should we build? What is the meaning of civilization, and what kind of civilized principles and etiquette should we follow? The universe is infinite and creation is limitless. So toward what direction should we walk, and what kind of life level or condition should we pursue? What right values should human beings follow in all aspects of the fields of their production and lives? We will bring people into the highly civilized Lifechanuan era, and this will be a common objective for all human beings. We hope everyone on Earth will participate in it actively, and we look forward to the contributions of foresight and understanding, and incisive values by the sages of this time. What we need is positive, optimistic, and very creative energy. Therefore, we will turn a deaf ear to all that is negative and pessimistic. For those values which are directive or educative or sound like advice or guidance, unless you have done it yourself and have reached that standard, please do not bother us because we have no time to listen to moralizing. But if your values are correct, we will follow them immediately. The second home of Lifechanuan is a big international family, and this family leads a life completely according to the 800 values for new era human beings. As the life and production modes in the second home become more and more perfect, it will achieve a lever at which it will be able to change the fate of humans and will lead the world into a higher, more civilized level. Please be aware that many groups of people in the world are totally selfless and have dedicated their lives to the happiness of all people. These are the pioneers who are moving forward and are striving for the best. Please spread this article as widely as you can.
活人需要明白的8大道理。
8 Truths by Which to Lead a Life. Xiefeng. Edited by Kayer. Living in this world, we need to understand why we do and how we should, or we will live an unclear and muddled life. For every road on the trip ahead, there must be a destination, and different ways of living will ultimately afford us different views and lead us to different destinations. As a messenger of the greatest creator, the incarnation of gods, Buddha, celestial beings, saints, and the guide for human spirits and souls, I propose the following 8 truths by which to live. Please examine and consider them, and choose whether they make sense and whether they can benefit you. Rivers have sources and trees have roots, people have parents and celestial beings have ancestors. Everything has its origin and all effects have their causes. Rivers will run dry without sources, trees will wither without roots, people will scatter without parents, and celestial beings will fall without ancestors. Therefore, in living a life, we have to connect our souls to their source to be clear and to gain eternity. The source of everything is the greatest creator, and we, our lives within our life, should always keep the greatest creator in mind and live in accordance with the will of the greatest creator. In this way, our life can reach a wonderful destination in the end. Life is a short journey of life in the mortal world which begins when we are born and ends when we die. You were there before you were born and will still be there after you die. Birth and death are only life phenomena, and not the beginning and end of life, so it is very important to learn from where you came and to where you are going. The mortal world is a transition between different levels and different types of life. Passengers traveling in all directions will transit through this mortal world and stay for periods of time, whether they will ultimately ascend or descend. Therefore, the mortal world is populated with all levels and all types of life. Gods, Buddha, celestial beings, saints, goblins, devils, ghosts, monsters, and demons all exist in the mortal world, and as such, anyone's life trip can be misdirected by only slight miscalculations. We must therefore sharpen our eyes and be weary of the negative influences in life. Everything in this world exists within the unity of opposites, and the result of it is always neutral. That is, the amount of positive and negative energy in the universe is always equal. What you have paid and what you have gained are always equal. This means that what one gets and what they give within a lifetime are equal. If you gain more, you must pay more. And if you pay more, you will gain more. If someone pays a lot in their life stage but gains little, then their extra payout will await them in the bank of heaven. But if one gains more than they pay in this life stage, then they will owe a debt which must be and can be paid off in many different ways, such as becoming a cow or a horse in the next life, or becoming a chicken or pig and being slaughtered and eaten, or working for others, or even falling into the lowest space of life and having to withstand great stress, pain, and hardship. Therefore, we should try our best to pay more and gain less in this stage of life, because no one can enjoy more than enough blessing, and they must know when to stop. We can become enlightened from nature. That is, each life needs to live to its fullest and live itself out. Only thusly can this world be colorful and wondrous. Therefore, everyone has to live out their own innate nature by living for their own well-being first. It is only when people live well that they can be beneficial to their loved ones and others. If they do not live for their own well-being, then they will bring endless pain and trouble to everyone and become burdens and loads. For instance, some parents live bitter lives and often cannot meet their basic life necessities such as birth, illness, retirement, and death, so they can never bring blessings to their children. We often hear parents say, "My child, I have suffered through a bitter life all for my child." This attitude is an excuse for their bad life because they want to transfer their pain to their children and make those children suffer guilty consciences for their parents' deprivation. Consequently, not only does the parent deprive themselves, but then they guilt-trip their child. This kind of outlook on life is incisively manifested by married couples when the husband and wife each believe that they have sacrificed for the other and that the other owes them. As a result, both suffer and neither lives out their Tathagata nature. In short, one has to live for their own sake and their own well-being, because anyone who lives for others will not only spoil their own life, but will also inflict heavy psychological burdens and spiritual bondage upon others. What is there for people to live for? It is to live for their innate natures, for their gifted natures, to live happy, joyful, free, and blessed lives, and to leave no regrets, remorse, resentment, or sorry at the end. To do this, one cannot live for power, wealth, fame, beauty, vanity, religion, political party, state, nationality, family, or others. They must not try to possess or control anything or anyone, but must accept them as they are and associate with others by following predestined relationships, to act in accordance with their natures, and to take advantage of opportunities as they arise. They must deliver their lives into the hands of the greatest creator through the arrangements of Tao. Everything physical is a game, but only the soul is true and worthy. Do not be too serious or persistent on anything. Go for it if it pleases and uplifts, but forget it if it hurts or degrades. People will die and fields will become lakes, and that which we are so serious and persistent about or which troubles us now will eventually vanish from our consciousnesses. Why bother? Everything in life runs in Tao. Everything is karma. The Lord is everywhere. You reap what you sow. Divine punishments, though slow, are always true with big meshes, letting nothing slip through. Therefore, we must lead honorable and upright lives which are centered on sincerity, kindness, beauty, love, faith, and honesty. No one should be stealthy or talk about spirits, deities, fortunes, or disasters. A good conscience knows no fear. Whatever one thinks, speaks, and does should be faithful to the earth, the sky, others, and society, and to their own consciences. In this way, their life journey will become smoother and more comfortable as time goes on. Their life's future will also be smoother and more beautiful. Just do ordinary, simple things within the capacity of your lifetime. Be content to be ordinary and do not pursue the extraordinary. Settle on doing more small things and avoid attempting big things. Learn how to enjoy the unknowingly quiet life and avoid being the target of the known and the noisy. 1,000 miles can be covered by constant small steps, and rivers and seas are filled where small streams gather. We should always direct our efforts toward laying this kind of foundation. In this way, with persistence over time, the most ideal life will appear, and the most beautiful dreams will come true. These 8 life truths are only my perceptions and are only fit for a small minority. Accordingly, the majority of people are unable to accept them. If you think they make sense, then use them as references. If you think they do not make sense, then find your own ways. We do not discuss, debate, or argue.
用哲学辩证法指导人生。
Life Guide with Philosophical Dialectics. Xiefeng. Translated by Transin and edited by Kayer. Philosophy is the abstract theory about the nature of the universe and its developmental law, as well as the relationship between thinking and being. Dialectics is the theory of the unity of opposites, the contradictory movements of things, and the universal connections and characteristics of them. In terms of properties, dialectics is part of and resides within the category of philosophy. It is like consciousness and thinking. Thinking is part of and resides within the category of consciousness. Speaking metaphorically, philosophy is the human body and dialectics are its eyes. Philosophy deals with the broad sense while dialectics deals with the narrow sense. Philosophy is general while dialectics is specific. It is my opinion that philosophy is science and should be understood and reasoned with real evidence, without which it would not be logical, and that would in turn lead to wrong conclusions. For instance, both the absolute idealism and absolute materialism sever the unity between the two sides of the contradiction. Such as religion, which emphasizes more about the idealism and ignores the value and meaning of real existence. And pragmatism, which stresses more about existence itself, but less about its causes. The theory system of Life-Echanuan is mainly based on real evidence, although I have previously expounded more about the teachings and instructions of gods, Buddha, celestial beings, and saints in human history as the core, which is somewhat empty for the faithless, and not only lack operability, but also lack the cognition of the scientific nature of the spatial temporal universe, life and life. It is like Lao Tzu's descriptions of Tao, an image of what existed before God. The Tao that can be discussed is not absolute Tao, evasive, elusive, yet latent within it are forms. Dark and dim, yet latent within it is the life force, too specious to be understood by anyone who is not extremely wise. How do we guide our lives with philosophical dialectics? Buddha has no settled rules. Buddha's rules always vary according to the situation. Keep the main and change the others according to the situation. To be selfless is to achieve self. To be free from ego is to achieve ego. To own nothing is to own everything, and so on, which I summed up conforms to dialectics in the philosophical sense and can guide life. Now we will talk in detail about how to understand the world and how to guide our lives with philosophical dialectics. First, let us see the universal law of the unity of opposites in a philosophical sense. This law is to say that all things in the universe consist of pro and con factors which are opposite, incompatible, and contradictory as fire and water. But paradoxically, it is precisely this organic unity of contradictions that makes the world complex and colorful. Specifically, positive balance is negative, light balance is dark, true balance is false, good balance is evil, yin balance is yang, male balance is female, up balance is down, the rise balance is the fall, death balance is life, the tangible balance is the intangible, and so on. How can this analysis be significant to guide our lives? The law of the unity of opposites tells us that there is the physical world but also the spiritual, heaven but also hell, material structure but also the non-material, and the tangible human but also the intangible God. As such, our consciousness and thinking are not limited to our mortal lives and will not be limited to the material world that we see. Our field of knowledge can expand to unlimited space and time, to the afterlife, to the non-material world which we can neither see nor hear from our current place. What a remarkable leap of faith this is. Thus, as human beings, we should not only value the present, but also consider the future, not only pay attention to reality, but also consider nothingness, not only cherish life, but also pay attention to the afterlife. Let us now look at the law of mutual change of quality and quantity in a dialectic sense. This law says that any change of quality must be based on an accumulation of quantity. When the accumulation of a quantity becomes saturated and passes a critical point, its quality or qualities will change. This law has immeasurable value and significance in guiding our lives. From the law of the unity of opposites, we understand that while there are humans, there must be gods. Since there are gods, the existence of celestial beings and Buddha become reasonable. Humans, gods, Buddha, and celestial beings are life of different natures. People have human nature, gods have divine nature, celestial beings have theirs, and Buddha has Buddhist nature. If human nature is to be sublimed to divine nature, there must be an accumulation of quantity and the accumulation must develop towards the divine nature. 1,000 miles cannot be covered without an accumulation of steps, and there will be no rivers or seas without the integration of small streams. If one gradually accumulates a divine nature, then in accordance with the law of mutual change of quality and quantity, they will eventually become godlike. Based on the dialectic law of the negation of negation, we can conclude that new things must conquer old things. New things refers to those which are in line with objective law and posse's strong vitality and broad developmental prospects. Old things are those that run counter to objective law and will die out. To determine whether a thing is new or old is to look at its nature, not its form or appearance. For example, many new religions have sprung up like mushrooms with new forms and manifestations, but their natures are variations fermented in old nests, and they are not new at all. Now let us look at the new methods, new measures, and new channels with the aim of earning money across the globe, such as the transformation from traditional manufacturing industries to service and infotech industries which appear new when seen from their form and appearance, but are still essentially ways to make money. Thus, they are not new because the nature of their profit motive has remained the same. As in the Yangtze River, the waves behind ride on the ones before, new generations excel the old. This is a reflection and portrayal of the law of the negation of negation. From the phenomenon of the global rise of the divorce rate and the growing number of singles, we can surmise a law such that the family as a traditional production and life mode will be gradually replaced with a new form of production and life mode. This is an objective law which will not change by people's subjective wills and will not stop advancing just because people resent it or rebel against it. This new mode is replacing the traditional production and life mode, is a new thing, and no force can prevent its development and growth once it happens. However, the growth and development of new things is bound to suffer and will have to overcome arduous and tortuous processes. When you invest yourself into the development of new things, you must be psychologically and spiritually prepared to suffer difficult times or the new things will eliminate you. The prospects of old things are dark, but the prospects of new things are bright, so the farther you walk on the way of old things, the narrower it becomes, but the farther you walk on the way of new things, the wider it becomes. It rises here but sets there. It increases here but decreases there. Two extremes are connected but will go in different directions when pushed too far. The rise is sudden but so is the fall. Ill gain brings ill fate. Karma is the shadow following a body. Extreme joy begets sorrow. Out of the extreme misfortune comes fortune. All these conform to dialectics, so we have to remain alert and have confidence all the while. After we understand the universal law that positive and negative energies always balance out, we can deal with life affairs skillfully and easily. We know that when we constantly give and contribute rather than take and consume, we will accumulate many treasures. But where? They are reserved in the afterlife or the non-material world. Who will enjoy these treasures? No one can other than the one who has accumulated them. Otherwise, the universal law that positive and negative energy always balance out would be violated. As it is a universal law, it is a necessary procedure. When you pay, you must receive. When you receive, you must pay. If you have given but have not received in the mortal world, then you will undoubtedly receive in your next life or in heaven. Otherwise, the universe would be unfair and untrue. Everything has its destiny. The total energy in the universe is constant. This is consistent with the law of the conservation of energy and of matter. In terms of philosophy, yin cannot exist without yang and yang cannot grow without yin. Yin and yang are the law and order of the changes of all things, Huangdi Neijing. As we know from the water on the earth, regardless of the surging rivers brought on by rainstorms or the increase of snow cover on mountaintop, its total volume remains constant. It is destiny. This is to say that the quantity of life in the universe is constant. It increases here but decreases there. It rises here but falls there. Well then, where does the increase in human population come from? Are new lives born out of thin air? People who have explored and studied anything about reincarnation know that human reincarnation happens several days before birth. Therefore, an embryo or fetus does not contain life. It can only be called life when a reincarnated soul enters into it. Thus, we know that a new life will only be born when an old one passes on. There is no life without death and no death without life. That is it. In this case, we know that the increased life on the earth must have come from somewhere. If a new life is born, then an old one must have ended. If we analyze carefully, we may wonder about the many animals on the earth that have died. Where have they gone? Have they become human? Where will their lives go if the earth has a mass extinction in the future? Please refer to 36-dimensional space for the answers. Philosophical dialectics can guide our lives. We have just discussed how to guide our lives by philosophy from the perspective of philosophy. This enlightenment is only the tip of the iceberg. You may draw general conclusions about other cases from specific ones. I hope that each one of you will lead a smart life and that you will have wonderful life prospects.
人生是一场幻象。
Life is but an illusion. Xie Feng. Translated by Treasure and edited by Kayer. Illusions are phenomena that appear in dreams, fantasy,